Welcome back everybody, welcome back to my channel and thank you for returning. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you've all had a really good Christmas and are going to have a really good new year. I've been super busy with my sewing course and just with life and everything, so I haven't had time to record anything lately. I've found some time right now to kind of carry on with my skirt and to try and finish the skirt, this Victorian skirt. And I'm really excited to get on with it. And so basically, I've had to prepare some beeswax and I've got my linen thread. And here's the update on the skirt. I hope you enjoy it. And well, off I go. Let's see how far I can get with this because I'm dying to get this skirt finished. I just want to wear it. I can't wait to wear it. And yeah, I'll see how fast I can get through this. And it should be fairly quick, hopefully, once I get into it. It's just a running stitch, so I just have to get on with it and see how quickly I can get through it.
The measure and marking of the pleating intervals on the top edge of the fabric for a cartridge skirt, they're typically spaced between ½ an inch apart. You can use a fabric marker or chalk to mark the pleat positions. This is exactly what I'm doing here at this point, and I have to say that it wasn't actually all that easy to do with my tailor's chalk, and I have two different ones. I think I would like to try and get a fabric pen. What I ended up doing in the end was just doing it by eye, but I didn't feel it was really risky because I could see by eye the spaces I need to give on my running stitch. Then I had 3 different running stitches going. Well, I had 4 different lines. So you need to thread a needle with some strong thread and knot the end. And then starting at one end of the fabric, sew a running stitch along the top edge, following the marked pleat intervals. And then once you have finished this, the idea is that you pull the thread to gather the fabric into pleats.
And what she does for the waistband is she does 4 rows of a running stitch on the waistband, and then she will pull it all together and make all the pleats. So I have my linen thread that she uses, and I actually managed to find some. I did have some trouble finding some linen thread. You just can't find it everywhere, and the only place I found it was in an arts and crafts shop. So the sewing shops, unfortunately, I couldn't find it in there. But I've got some. So what I need to do is wax it with some beeswax, because that's what she does on the video. She waxes the thread. I do need some beeswax, but we only had kind of we didn't have a big blob of beeswax. We've only got like what is it called, like shredded beeswax. And so I've had to melt some in a pot, and I just want to make a little blob of it so I can pull the thread through it. Yeah, so we had some egg cartons. It's just going to set in there. And then when it's cooled down, it's already nearly cooled down. I'm going to just take it out of here, and then I can pull the thread through it. Actually, it's already starting to set. It's a bit soft though. Let's have a look. I'm going to take it out. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there we go. So there we have it. Ta-da! So I do have some embroidery needles, and apparently these are going to be really the best ones to use when you're using quite a thick thread like linen thread. You need a pretty good sized needle head, and so I'm going to use, I think I'll just use this one here. Here we go. This is the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to cut my linen thread, and I don't want it to be too long. Otherwise, when you're working and sewing, you've got this huge long thread and it's quite difficult to work with. So now I'm going to just put my thread through the wax like this. Let's see, I've not done this before, so I'm just doing it like I guess this is how I'm supposed to do it.
Don't know.
Do you think that will do it?
I think that'll do it.
Yeah. And there we go. And now I have my own waxed linen thread. Actually, I can feel the difference. I can definitely feel a difference on there. I'm just going to put it through one more time, actually, just to make sure it's nice and waxed. And actually, it's good with a bit of, because it's still warm, it actually waxes the thread really nicely.
Nice.
It's easier to put through. I don't know. It's kind of been one of those lucky things, one of those lucky mistakes that happen. And now I'm going to thread it on one of these. I've had to take a bit of a size up on the needle because the head wasn't big enough to put my thread through. So that's just right actually now. There we go. Really good. Oh yeah, I can see why it has to be quite a big needle head on there, because once it's waxed, it's really hard to thread otherwise. So there we go. Right, so I've completed the pleating, the cartridge pleating on the skirt, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's not completely finished yet because I still need to do the waistband, and I will be ironing the pleats in place once they're in their final position. And I think the best way to figure out how this skirt is going to fit me is to actually put the skirt on, and I'm going to show you how it looks and how the pleats pull. So here we are. This is what the pleating looks like at the moment. And in fact, the best way to make sure the skirt fits you is to put it on before creating the waistband. Okay, right, I hope you can see okay. Now, that's my closure. And here are all the cords to pull here. I actually think I need to take my jumper off so I can see. Right. Okay. There, so we can see how it's going to look. So this is kind of how it's going to look. Okay. Now there's quite a few different threads to pull because I did the pleating in different sections. So I stopped and started in a few different places, so I have to pull them individually, separately, and I just have to find them all. So, right, okay, there's some here. Okay. Okay. So once I've got all the pleats tightened sufficiently, I will go round and tie them each thread with a knot in order to hold the position. Alright, so I'm going to have to go round. I think that will be good actually, like this. And I will go round and do the knot, and then I'm going to iron the pleats in place. And then I'm going to create the waistband. So I'm going to create a separate waistband. I'm going to create lastly the waistband, which will be then assembled to the pleats with hand stitches. And yeah, so that will be in the next video, and it's going to be the final stage of making this skirt. And I will be putting hooks onto the back here to hold this and to close that up. And we're getting a good idea of what it looks like now. And I'm really looking forward to it being finished and sharing that with you. Oh yes, also, I'm just looking for my pockets. I did make, oh there they are. So I've got my pocket, one pocket here. I've got a pocket here, my pocket. And I have another pocket on the other side. So, oh, it's here. There. Oh, it's a real swishy skirt, that's for sure. It's just how I wanted it, and I will look forward to wearing this in the summertime on visits to chateaus and things like that.
So yes, before I continued with the cartridge pleating, I previously recorded some footage for you to show you how I created the closure for the skirt and the closure placement. What I did was I finished putting all the elements of the skirt together and sewing everything up. I left about a 20 centimetre closure placement in order for me to create the opening and closure for the skirt, so I can actually get in and out of it. And to make it look nice and to make it look pretty, what I did was I folded the edges of the back seam inward by about 1/2 inch, and then I ironed them down so that it was easier to sew basically. And I had a good guide. When you iron things down, it helps you to keep all your material in place. And then I did a catch stitch, which is a great hand stitch to create an invisible stitch to hold those hems and seams down. And I did pin them in place just to make it a bit easier. I also actually, before I created the closure placement, I had to fold down the waistband, and it's about 6 centimetres. I ironed it all, I measured it and then ironed that down. And then I created the closure placement. Now I'm just following the instructions on the video of Paula Victoire. This is how she does it. So this is what I did. So because you are having to use such a strong thread and these pleats can be quite tough to create, I would actually highly recommend that you do use a thimble to protect your fingers while sewing, because I have just tried to push down on the needle quite hard and it did hurt. So do put a thimble on your fingers, and double check the alignment of pleats as well before sewing to avoid any misalignments, just to make sure, because if you go off a bit, you know, you might not notice, and you want some nice straight lines. Hand stitching has its own unique advantages. This is what I've realised. doing this by hand, and I've actually preferred it out of choice, wherever I can, to use my hand stitching skills that I'm acquiring. To be honest, hand stitching can be better than machine stitching, and it's really good for precision and control, for detailed work. Hand stitching allows for greater precision and control, and it makes it ideal, for intricate details and delicate fabrics, and it enables you to make small adjustments as you go, ensuring that you have a perfect fit and a finish that you really desire. And also, it's great hand stitching because you can hand stitch anywhere without the need for a sewing machine or electricity. So you can just take your sewing wherever you go, which is a nice feeling. You don't have to, be in a certain place with like certain equipment or anything like that. And certain techniques like embroidery, for example, or quilting and couture sewing are best done by hand for a more refined look. Hand stitching can create stronger seams, especially with techniques like back stitching, which are less likely to unravel. And hand stitching is often used for repairs and alterations, allowing for seamless fixes. And hand stitching can add a unique personal touch to your projects. So with visible stitches that can be decorative, for example. And for historical or period garments, such as this skirt, hand stitching is essential to maintain authenticity. And that's really important for people who are fascinated and passionate about about historical accuracies for period garments. Knowing your hand stitching is an absolute must. And it's very therapeutic, and many people find hand stitching to be a relaxing and meditative activity. And I totally get that, because it really has been that for me. It's somewhere now, it's my go-to place to get my headspace and to do something that's really fulfilling and just connects me to another place. And it allows me to connect more deeply with my craft. So it really does allow me to I can really feel my craft and, connect with it on a different level when I'm sewing by hand. And I'm not a great sewer, by far, but I have already instantly noticed that it's like writing on a computer and then taking a lovely pen or a plume and writing on some lovely paper. Now, by choice, me personally, I don't know about you, but I am sure there's probably most of you would agree that writing on a lovely piece of paper with a lovely pen, I get more inspired. It's a lot more inspirational, and it's just a totally different experience that you're connecting with your pen and paper directly from you to your paper. And I get more inspiration. I'm more creative. I don't get blockages. If I'm at a computer, I tend to block, and I've forgotten what I'm writing. It's just not as natural and authentic to me. And I just don't connect in the same way. And then it affects everything. It affects my creativity. So appreciating the time and effort that goes into each stitch is really something quite special. But, machine stitching is faster, more efficient. It does so many different tasks. So I love using the machine. The machine is really, really important, and I love having the machine, and that's for sure. It's a beautiful piece of technology to use, but hand stitching really remains an invaluable skill for those who appreciate the art and tradition of sewing. So here I am at home working on my sewing machine, and I am currently doing my sewing fashion course here in France. And so I do this a couple of days a week, and then for the rest of the week we work in our own time autonomously. But here I am during my course, and as you can see, my cat Venus and my other cat Luna as well, they always are so interested in everything I'm doing. If I'm doing something creative, they just love to be part of it, and I'm very careful with their little paws and everything to make sure they don't get hurt. But here's Venus, and she's fascinated by the sewing machine and wondering what on earth I'm doing. And I always find it so interesting how animals are just so sensitive to creativity, and they're just drawn to it. And they're fascinating creatures too. I think she just loves, first of all, to be with me. And I think she just finds it really comforting, and we have some bonding time together, and she feels safe and secure when she's with me. And at the moment, this is a new routine I have. So she loves to be part of that, part of the new routine. And they are creatures of habit as well. So they know it's, that I'm doing this. Oh, look, she's doing this again. And they just love to be part of it. They are very, as we know, cats are curious and playful. And they just find it intriguing, I think, all the different movements, the movement of my hands whilst I'm sewing, or if you're painting, or, they love to come and see what's going on. It just triggers their playfulness, I think. At one point, Venus was even putting a little paw onto the material and trying to do what I was doing. So it was really fun and sweet.
Thanks everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments. That's fine, I'll be happy to reply to you, and I wish you all a fabulous week, and look out for the next video because I won't be leaving it too long, okay? And I send you lots of love and see you really soon. Thanks everybody, and bye.